What's up, everybody? My name is Matt. Welcome to the office. And today I have a first episode of Let's Tech About It. So, let me give you a brief understanding of what this podcast will be about. So, I'll be doing this once a week. And Let's Tech About It is essentially a podcast where I will bring to you the news, technology news, anything related to technology right here on YouTube, as well as a podcast on Spotify and Apple and any other platform that you can get it on. If you guys follow me on Twitter, which I hope you do, you guys will see that I like to talk a lot about the news. When something comes out, an article comes out about a new development, a new business deal, a new piece of technology that's coming out. Google does this, Apple does this, Microsoft does this. A lot of times I may see things that other people don't see. I may see what I like to call the nudge that the company is trying to do when they try to come out with a product and they try to, get everybody to buy it. Usually I can, speculate and sometimes make some assumptions, but most of the time those assumptions are right. And I realize that I should share them with you guys. A lot of times people ask me, should I buy this? Should I buy that? And I'm like, no. And I try to explain it. And a lot of times they really can't see that far into the future. Like, hey, don't buy an iPhone 10R right now, because if you really just want a phone for your child and you don't really care about the features, you just want something that is reliable, Apple might be coming out with the iPhone SE 2. And the current phone that the child has is perfectly fine. They don't really need to rush out and buy a phone. So it's things like that where they don't even know about the SE 2. I may. So I like to share that type of stuff with you guys because these are, purchases that we make every day and sometimes pretty frequently because, software updates and things get outdated, and sometimes you buy one thing and you got to buy another thing and so on and so forth. But if you follow me on Twitter, sometimes I may get into it with a couple people about certain articles, about certain perceptions of a product, things like that. But I wanted to bring it here to you guys directly once a week. Let's tech about it. And I'm really happy to finally get this out to you guys. This setup right here that you're seeing is going to be my main setup for the unforeseeable future. So what that means is if I have a talking head video where I'm going to talk about tech on my YouTube channel, aside from this podcast, you're going to see this. So let me know what you think about this layout, whether this microphone is in my face too much and you can't see my beautiful face. I'm going to move it a little bit, actually. Actually, it sounds a lot better now. I got these monitor headphones on. Eventually, I hope to, take them off and not have to have them. And maybe eventually I'll get a better mic. But for the most part, this broadcast setup was inspired by another YouTuber, DSLR video shooter. Huge shout out to him. He came out with a tutorial on how to get a one-stop shop setup on your desk, and I definitely really appreciate it. It was very helpful in kind of strategizing what I would set this up as. I got this kind of set up pretty cool. I can come in, sit down, hit the button, turn on the light, say, hey Siri, turn on my, oh crap, nope, didn't set it off. Turn on my lamp over here and to just start talking to you guys. So I really appreciate that video from DSLR video shooter on YouTube. I will link his channel down below in the show notes. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about some news. There has been a lot of content, a lot of videos, a lot of news that have come out since my last video. And I wanted to talk to you guys about some of those headlines and some of the things that I may be looking at personally for my own usage, because a lot of these products and things that I talk about on this channel are things that I'm personally interested in, or I have a strong feeling that you might be interested in it as well. So let's get right into it. Apple, man, let's get right to it. The Apple. Apple is under some serious scrutiny right now with the Apple Card. And if you don't know, Apple came out with a credit card, several months ago. It is iPhone dependent. You go on your iPhone, you apply for a credit card, and it's kind of like a charge card in a sense. You use Apple Pay. You can pay with your phone, but the card is actually a line of credit. And this card, gives you some rewards. You get like 2% when you use Apple Pay anywhere. You get 3% if you use it with some of their preferred partners. And you also get 3% if you use it at Apple, which is a huge benefit for them because their products are hella expensive. So this card, when you apply, there has been two pretty big situations from Steve Wozniak and the Ruby on Rails developer. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. But both of them had they applied and their spouse applied. And the male, got 10 to 20 times more of a credit limit than their spouse. And the issue with all of this is that in both situations, the spouses shared all assets. So if you have a man and a woman who are married and they share all their assets, meaning their credit worthiness should be somewhat the same. Not exactly, because, obviously you got different usages and things like that. But for the most part, the credit history is reported the same. In these situations, the credit limit was a lot higher for the male. When they called or they raised, a question about it, they called support. They posted on Twitter about it, and they got a lot of, attention about it. The credit limit for their spouses, the women, were raised. Now, this brings a lot of issues into question because when you apply for credit, according to Goldman Sachs, they do not discriminate based on, race, sex, orientation, age, gender, any of those things, because that's illegal. I mean, obviously you can't discriminate on that basis. However, they cannot explain why two people, different sexes, have different credit limits and they share the same assets. Elizabeth Warren, she's a presidential candidate right now. She's been in the news lately for trying to break up a lot of tech companies and what they're doing. And so that's another topic. I'm not going to get into that. But she came out and spoke against this algorithm that is, discriminating. It is. It's not. There's not really a way around it. It's discriminating. And it's not intentional. There's not like a person sitting there like, oh, that's a woman, boom. No, it's actually a computer algorithm that you put your information in. It does its numbers, it does its thing, and it spits out a credit limit. And Goldman Sachs can't explain it. They cannot explain why two people, same assets, get two different credit limits. So she's calling for Goldman Sachs to pull down the algorithm. I'm pretty sure more will develop with this story because I'm going to take a little sidetrack here. When it comes to machine learning and artificial intelligence and all of these things that are buzzwords these days, when you have that type of system in place to make decisions that can affect someone's livelihood, it's extremely important that you have diversity in the development of that algorithm. That means the same things that I just mentioned about the reasons why Goldman Sachs can't discriminate: age, sex, gender, sexual orientation, race. You need representation from all of those areas, some way, somehow, whether I don't know, just some way, somehow, to help develop this algorithm. And that is why technology, and that's why I love technology so much, and that's why I think technology is so important to our future as humanity, is because everybody needs to get involved in tech. Everybody. We cannot have, one group of people develop these technologies, because just think of what happens. This is just the financial industry. Just imagine if it carried over to healthcare and the legal system and other things. Like, that is really scary. So if you have a child, or if you are interested in getting into technology and you feel like you have a voice. So I just had to say that, because a lot of people are like, no, I'm gonna leave that to the nerds and da 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 da. No, man, like, kids are learning the code right now. You can, there's iPad apps, there's Google Chrome apps, there's Chromebooks, there's apps out there. Every kid needs to learn how to code, because the jobs of the future are going to require this type of input. And this is evidence that the right people are not developing algorithms for these large companies that are developing services that can really affect somebody's livelihood. That's scary, man. That's scary. So I'm going to jump off of that for a second because I want to get to something else about Apple on some lighter news, because that was kind of heavy for the first topic. I'm going to do better with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just have a list of things I wanted to talk about, and that was on the top of the list because that's really important to me. But I also wanted to kind of set the stage for this show, because let's tech about it. You know what I mean? We need to talk about how technology is really affecting our lives. And a lot of people really don't, they don't really think about things like that. They just apply for a card. So next up, the MacBook Pro 16-inch. Now, the fact that it's a 16-inch MacBook Pro is not the greatest thing. You know what I mean? Apple just announced it. It was a surprise release. They invited a couple of YouTubers and influencers up to New York to check it out. And if you really want to know more, I'm going to put TLD Today's video in the description, because he had an interview with Phil Schiller. And this feels like a laptop that is really made for creators. And what I mean by creators is, like, if there's certain things that they did to make sure that the creators kind of have an interest in this particular product. And here's why. So they created new microphones. So the new MacBook Pro 16-inch has a new microphone setup with like noise cancellation and isolation. And what that means is this is kind of crazy, but you see this microphone that I have right here? Imagine if I didn't have it here. I had my laptop right here in front of me. I'll have to bring it forward a little bit, but that MacBook would be able to capture the same audio quality as this. My room is fairly quiet. I have a couple ambient noise and things like that. But, you can hear me breathing. Yeah, I'm not out of breath, guys, I promise. I'm just talking really fast. Anyway, just imagine if I could replace this with a MacBook. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be doing this every week. What if I'm not here? I don't have all this set up. What if I could just bring my MacBook kind of closer to my body and start talking to you guys? That makes creating a lot easier. That makes, that's a big selling point for me. They also included a 100 watt hour battery. For those you don't know, that is the legal limit for the FAA that you can bring on a plane. So they put the biggest battery you can in here. The 16-inch is slightly bigger. It's a little bit heavier. Also, the charger is going to give you a charge in a couple hours, so you can recharge your entire battery, 100 watt hour battery, in a couple hours, which is very good. Another thing is that the internal storage costs are pretty reasonable. I'm not going to go through the tiers, but like pretty much I got the 13-inch MacBook Pro, 16 gigs, quad core, and I got the 256 gig SSD inside. Now, that's very small. Can't really do much on it. So I have to use a Samsung T5. You can see it here. I got to use one of these. And then I recently picked up this SanDisk right here at 500 gigabytes. So this is what I actually have to edit off of because my hard drive is so small. And, you do what you got to do, to kind of create. But, this video is going to be filmed in 4K. I'm probably going to downscale it to 1080p. Who knows? I don't know yet. But it's going to be a big file. This is going to be, a pretty big file. So the fact that I can now look at getting a MacBook Pro 16-inch with a bigger hard drive, maybe 2 terabytes. So essentially, 4 of these, 2 and 2, obviously. I can pretty much edit completely off of my laptop, and not to mention the storage speeds on these laptops, meaning the rate that the laptop reads and writes are very, very fast. They're much faster than external drives. Now, one of the issues is that with this new setup, you're gonna have to get used to a new keyboard. And I said issues, but I really didn't mean that. I'm sorry. One of the new things that they changed was the keyboard. I meant to say the issue with my current keyboard is that the travel on the keys are not that great. The personally, I use the Magic Keyboard right here. And if you can kind of see here, the travel is pretty deep. It's nice clicky feeling. You know what I'm saying? The actual keyboard on my MacBook Pro is much more shallow. So it's very loud. It's not very comfortable to type on. They upgraded the keyboards back to the scissor switch, which is pretty much like this. The keys kind of go like that. Instead of a butterfly, which was I can't do it with my hands. I'll probably break my wrist. But the new keyboard is much more comfortable to type on, long story short. And that's going to be great because, like I said, they're slowly making this MacBook Pro a lot more easier for creators, meaning I could take my laptop and that's it. My laptop and my camera, and I could pretty much do everything I need to do. Record my audio, edit completely off the drive, type on it, which is like the basic function that you got to do on a laptop. And they really, really screwed up the keyboard in the last couple generations. I'll say 2019 to 2016, 2015. They've had this keyboard that's really shallow. They have a recall program for it. It's that bad. If you buy any of those MacBooks, you can pretty much have a warranty on the keyboard because it has so many issues. Now this new 16-inch isn't perfect though. They kind of geared it towards creators, but they still have some things that they could fix. Apple's not perfect, and a lot of times they put out products that have older features, and my assumption is because they still have those parts. It's kind of it. That's just my assumption. Sometimes I feel like it's a cost-saving measure, but usually it's because they already have those parts. For example, the front-facing camera in the new MacBook Pro 16-inch is still 720p. I'm sorry. Imagine if it had a 4K camera. I'm shooting with a 4K camera. So imagine if that MacBook had a 4K camera on the front. And I could literally just open my MacBook, turn it on the webcam, record straight at you, straight at me, get my audio, record for 35 minutes, stop, edit it, keep it going. Imagine if I could do that. That would just be amazing. Like, I need that. I hope the revision for this MacBook, the 16-inch, that they may come out like in the spring. Sometimes they refresh the MacBooks in the spring if they release it in the fall. So I'm hoping that they can do that. Excuse me. Let me get something to drink real quick. Wow. Got that Cafe Bustelo on deck. All right, so really quick. Lost my train of thought for a second there, but let me get back to it. The webcam. The webcam needs to be better. It's not good enough. 720p is the worst. It looks really, really bad. I mean, FaceTime. There's been times where people will FaceTime me and I answer on my computer and they think I'm on Android. They're like, "Yo, did you get?" Because it looks that bad. Like, it does not look good at all. And something's bad when the average consumer can tell that something looks bad. That's when you know you need to upgrade, regardless of what you're trying to market the product towards or not. Next thing is Wi-Fi 6. So Wi-Fi 6, I won't get into the technical details, but over the last, since Wi-Fi's been out, there's been different standards of Wi-Fi. Recently the worldwide organization that kind of handles the naming of Wi-Fi, they rebranded Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6. It used to be like A, B, G, N, A, C, stuff like that. If you've ever seen a product that says like Wi-Fi A, B, G, N, A, C, those are just letters after Wi-Fi that kind of indicate how fast the Wi-Fi will be, how strong the signal would be, that type of things. So the new thing is Wi-Fi 6, and my iPhone 11 has Wi-Fi 6. This new MacBook Pro does not have Wi-Fi 6. Again, I think that's just a cost-saving measure from Apple. They probably still have the wireless modems, still on deck, just like they still have those crappy 720p modules. And they decided to just go ahead and throw them into the MacBook Pro 16-inch to kind of help get rid of them. I don't know. I'm just making assumptions here, but I'm hoping that this revision is going to have a 1080p camera at least. Also, and let me turn off my stuff. Also has a better Wi-Fi signal, a Wi-Fi card inside, because if this is something for creators, Wi-Fi 6 is going to be awesome. If you're traveling and you don't want to have to plug in with Ethernet, which is another thing because you got to have a dongle, this will be really nice to have Wi-Fi 6 on board. So that's enough about the MacBook Pro 16-inch. My plan right now is to keep using this 13-inch as long as I can. I will most likely upgrade at some point, but right now, from what I'm using my 13-inch for, I think I'm good. I don't need it. I still want it. It will make my workflow a lot easier, but I'm going to be patient. Patience saves pockets. If I want to, I could probably get a 15-inch right now really cheap. What I'm going to do is probably wait for the revision of the 16 and then go out and buy that. Hopefully it has Wi-Fi 6 and a better webcam like I mentioned. The other thing that I want to talk about today is services. I mean, who signed up for Disney Plus? Like, I was waiting for Disney Plus, but I really wasn't that hyped about it because, I mean, I don't really like watching old Disney stuff. But let's talk about Disney Plus. So, Disney Plus is, $6.99 a month. And, $69.99 a year. And you get access to, like, 21st Century Fox, Marvel, Pixar, Lucasfilm, National Geographic, and Walt Disney Studio content. That's a lot of content for $7 a month. And it goes back, like you can go back to like Dumbo and Bambi and just all these old Disney movies. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but I remember when Disney used to bring out the DVDs and then the Blu-rays, like once a year of like Pocahontas and all these old Disney movies, and then they would put them back in the vault. And that concept was kind of weird looking back at it because it's like you release something temporarily and then you just pull it back. It's a movie, But they did that, to kind of hype up the sales and kind of, make some more money. But now, $7 a month, you get access to all of that. So if you have kids or you love Disney movies, like $7 a month is very reasonable. And it's very reasonable if you bundle it, So now you can bundle Hulu, ESPN, and Disney Plus for $12 a month, $12.99 actually. So if you're interested in any of those services, I think you should check them out. I haven't had cable since I moved out the house. I moved out the house probably about 17, 18. I never had cable. I never paid for cable. So I'm in that generation that I didn't have to cut the cord. I never even had a cord. I've always had some sort of web service that was giving me my entertainment. Whether it was, online using the web browser, and then eventually Netflix, and then Hulu and HBO Go and things like that. HBO Now, sorry. But with that being said, I'm also interested to see what's going to happen with all these streaming wars because all these companies are starting to pull content away from Hulu and Netflix. So recently I was having a conversation with a coworker about The Office. So The Office is going to get pulled off of Netflix. And The Office is actually like the main, I think it's like one of the top shows on Netflix. And it's getting pulled off of it. NBC is starting their own streaming service called Peacock. And I think the rumor is right now that they're going to have a free ad-based version of Peacock. So you would have to watch The Office with commercials, which is kind of weird because, for years we've been watching it on Netflix and just, letting it play and things like that. I recently bought The Office on iTunes for like $30, the entire series. So I'm good. But if you catch a sale on your favorite show, this is the word of advice. If you have a favorite show and you have Apple products or even Amazon Prime or whatever you have, I would look at go ahead and just buying those shows, the full show, all the seasons, the entire series. Just go ahead and buy it. Because the way these streaming wars are going to go, you don't know where you're going to find your favorite shows at. And odds are, you're probably going to either have to watch ads or you're going to have to pay for a specific network because all the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, all of them are like creating their own streaming services and they're pulling content from Hulu and things like that to their services so that you have to pay a separate fee. everything's kind of a la carte. So you still have an option of, piecemealing what you want to buy. But just a word of advice. I think that's a good thing to do, especially when, you have shows that you like to watch all the time. Friends, Seinfeld, all the crazy shows, they're all going to be pulled away from Netflix and things like that. So Netflix is going to have to step up their original content. We'll see, because honestly, I don't see Netflix doing anything besides kind of going the HBO route. They're going to have to just step up their original content. Another thing about streaming services, off topic, but kind of on topic. If you're the type of person that signs up for a streaming service to watch a show and then discontinues it, I would look to the fact that some of these streaming services are going to start releasing shows on a weekly basis. So, program television, you had to wait every week for a show to come out. And then we got used to streaming services where they would just drop, Orange is the New Black, or Stranger Things, or all these things on Netflix would just drop all at one time. And then you would be able to just binge watch it. I don't think that's going to happen too much longer, guys. Because think about it. They spend millions and millions of dollars on these shows. And you can literally watch the entire show, the entire season, in a month. So if you paid $6.99 per month for Disney Plus and they dropped a show that, they spent millions of dollars on, you just paid $7 for an entire show. That's cheap. And they don't want that. They want to try to, they want to deliver you great content, but we're going to have to start paying for it. So just imagine, start calculating that into your bills and your budget, man, because the days of binge watching stuff is about to go away too. So just keep in mind that may happen. Another streaming service that I've been recently using is Apple TV Plus. So that's pretty cool. I'm actually enjoying it. The only problem, let me go back real quick. If you have Verizon, Disney Plus is free for a year. So if you have a Verizon account, go to the Verizon website and check that out. And you can sign up for Disney Plus for a year. That's what I did. We'll see if I keep it afterwards. I'm probably sure I'm going to keep it. But that's a nice little bonus being a Verizon customer. Apple TV Plus is $4.99 a month. So it's cheaper than Disney Plus. However, the show selection is not that great right now. However, the shows that they do have are actually really good. For All Mankind is great. The World According to Jeff Goldblum is great. The Morning Show is great. I really like the show Ghost Rider. That kind of took me back to my childhood. I used to watch that show when I was a kid. They actually rebooted it. So it's a little bit different. Same kind of premise, but it's still a good show. They got the Helpsters. They got a lot of kids shows on there too. Apple TV Plus is very promising, especially for $4.99 a month. And everybody under your family account on Apple can share that login. Speaking of sharing logins, Netflix is losing billions of dollars from everybody sharing logins, so I expect that to get shut down pretty soon too. Anyway, back to Apple TV Plus. So Apple TV Plus is $4.99 a month, and the rumor is that I believe Bloomberg has reported that Apple is going to try to bundle their services together. We don't really know the price yet, but so Apple has Apple Music, which is $9.99 a month for a single use, or $14.99 a month for a family of 5. And then you have Apple News Plus, which is $9.99 a month. I don't really use Apple News Plus because I do have a subscription to like Wall Street Journal and stuff like that. So whenever I'm using Apple News, I just kind of stick to those articles. So I'm not sure what Apple News Plus is really going to take off. A lot of publishers and news outlets aren't really liking it right now. So we'll see. Apple is going to try to bundle all of their stuff together, all of their services together, so that essentially me as the head of my household, I can pay one fee a month and everybody gets it. My wife, my 2 kids, all the Apple TVs, all the iPads, iPhones, pretty much everybody has the same services for one thing a month. And honestly, I think between that and Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, and ESPN Plus, there's really not much else we really need. Maybe HBO. I think that might be it, though. So, in other news, I want to talk about something that I hold very dear to my heart with hate. I'm just playing. I don't hate anything. But Facebook, man. Facebook. I get triggered whenever somebody talks about Facebook, man. I just can't. Ever since the privacy scandal, I'm like, why are we still using it? But that's another subject for another day. If you haven't heard, there was a bug on the Facebook app that when you were scrolling through your feed, your actual timeline, your feed on Facebook, a developer found that if you're scrolling through your feed, that the actual camera was actually on. So your rear camera was on while you're scrolling, and he found it while he was scrolling, and you can kind of see a little sliver of the screen. You can see that it was actually recording his rear camera, which was like the carpet or something, because he was holding it up like that. So with that being said, it's been fixed. So it's kind of old news. However, these kind of things can happen. In the past, Facebook's been kind of negligent in their privacy issues. This is something that they actually caused. They didn't test very well. Pretty sure it wasn't intentional. I give everybody a benefit of the doubt, but be mindful when you use Facebook. Be mindful when you use any app. Whenever an app asks for access to your camera, make sure the app really uses a camera. Because a lot of times they'll ask for access to your camera right when you open the app. And the only reason why they need access to your camera is so that you can, I don't know, take an avatar picture or something. But the app in general doesn't need access to your camera. I wouldn't do that. I would just, or access to your photos or something like that. Read the fine print, man. You guys got to start, not you guys, we got to start reading these terms and conditions. I don't want to read them, but sometimes they say stuff like, we have access to your camera roll, and we're going to upload all those pictures, and they're now ours. So as someone who's a photographer, it's kind of scary because those images are mine, but now they're theirs legally. And if you don't read the fine print, you probably don't even know what's going on. So that's a lot to cover for today. I am about at 40 minutes. I have a lot more to talk about, but you know what? I want to cut it short only because I feel like this was a great episode to get started with. If you guys have any questions or any comments, any suggestions, let me know. I will post this on YouTube. Definitely follow me on Twitter at Matt Gissentanna. And also let me know what you guys think about this format. And I'm sorry I got sidetracked because I just got really scared that I did not record the audio. And that would be a nightmare, but I did. So anyways, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys on the next episode of Let's Tech About It. And I'll see you later. Peace.